Howdy, y'all. Welcome to the Pizza Bros Podcast. It's me, the founder. Today's episode is episode 17, Press 1 for Cheese. And yes, I got to do the voice.
It's a typical boardroom meeting at Pizza Bros corporate tower. A bunch of executives drone on endlessly about business cycles, strategies, and ways to drive customers back to Pizza Bros. The founder looks out of the window of the tower and sighs from boredom. He really hates meetings. His mind drifts to things he'd rather be doing, like driving the Buck and Bronc, hanging out with Blake McManus, or riding a horse off into the sunset.
Founder,
repeats Brenda, shaking him from his daydream.
what do you think?
She asks.
Think? Think of what?
He asks, puzzled.
Have you listened to a word I've said?
An insulted Brenda asks.
Honestly, no. Tell me again, but make it simple.
He states. Brenda sighs in frustration.
What I was saying is that it actually costs us money to take a pizza order over the phone. It'd be better financially if our customers used online ordering. But many still prefer to call because they are more comfortable with it. I'm assuming you've come up with some fancy solution. Otherwise, we wouldn't be talking about this.
The founder states.
Exactly,
says Brenda proudly.
We want to roll out an automated phone-based pizza ordering system. A what now?
The founder asks.
You know, when you call other companies, you talk to a machine to get where you need to go. We want to use that technology, but use it to take pizza orders. It'll save us as much as $3.50 an order.
She continues.
I don't know. Don't people hate those things?
The founder asks. Brenda looks embarrassed and replies.
Yes, but the cost savings alone is worth it. Plus, people will get used to it. And if they don't, this will force them to use the online ordering system.
The founder doesn't bite at her idea.
I don't like this. We're a people-first type of company.
Brenda thinks for a moment and has a brilliant idea to stroke the founder's ego and get him on board.
How about you be the voice of the automated phone system?
This catches the founder's attention and he perks up with interest.
Me? My voice?
As he thinks about his own selfish interests.
This would take at least a full month to record. No more boring meetings.
He thinks with excitement. Brenda interrupts the founder's thoughts.
Sir, do you want to do it? Well, hot dog. If I get out of meetings, count me in. Let's get started right away,
exclaimed the founder. After a period of time, the new system is finally rolled out nationwide and the Chesterwood employees thoroughly enjoy the newfound peace and quiet in their store. Do you hear that? Asks Ed. Hear what? Asks Steve.
I don't hear anything but the sound of the oven,
says Dennis. Exactly, says Ed. It's so nice to not have to answer the phones.
I love that we don't have to take complaints anymore. I swear at least half of our phone calls were just customers whining about something trivial.
Complains Dennis as he whines about something trivial. Right, agrees Ed. Seriously, what's there to complain about? A pizza is a pizza. I think the best part is that lately, everyone seems to be ordering nothing but cheese pizzas. Makes work a lot easier, observes Steve. That's just a bonus, Ed agrees. It's just nice that all we have to do is make orders and deliver them.
Don't forget about prep and cleaning the store,
Dennis interjects. Right. Make orders, deliver them, prep, and clean the store. That's it, Ed elaborates. There's also paperwork, scheduling, and food order, adds Steve. Oh yeah, so all we have to do now is make orders, deliver them, prep, clean, paperwork, write the schedule, and place food order, Ed says. He stops suddenly. Wait, schedule? Aw, crap, I didn't do next week's schedule. Ed runs off to work on the schedule. Steve and Dennis finish an order that comes out of the oven. Whose turn is it? Steve asks.
Yours,
Dennis replies. Great, I'll be back in a bit. See ya, Steve says as he packs up his order and heads out the door. Steve delivers his pizza without incident, but on his return, suddenly a coolant pipe bursts on his engine and leaves him stranded. Ah, it's always something, Steve laments loudly as he pulls over to the side of the road. Every time I get caught up financially, something else breaks on my car and puts me even further behind. Steve opens his hood to see if he can fix the problem himself, but is instead greeted by a large puff of hot steam from his radiator. He looks down on the ground and sees coolant pour out. As the steam escapes, he sticks his head into the engine bay and rummages around until he finds the busted coolant line. I need to call Ed, Steve thinks to himself. Steve opens his driver's side door with a sigh of relief that it didn't lock itself again. Still, to this day, Steve is a little jumpy when he goes to open his car door. He even carries his keys with him in his pocket to the customer's door. Steve calls Ed's cell phone. The phone rings and rings and rings until finally he gets Ed's voicemail.
It's Ed. I'm probably at work, or I just got called into work. Leave me a message, and if I'm ever off work, I'll try to call you back.
Ed's voicemail beeps. As Steve tries to leave a message, he's interrupted by a voice.
Sorry, this voicemail box is full.
Steve hangs up and decides to call Dennis. Again, the phone rings and rings and rings. Steve is finally greeted by Dennis's voicemail.
The customer you are trying to reach has a voicemail box that has not been set up. Goodbye.
The call ends with an abrupt click. Needing to track down Ed or Dennis, Steve attempts to call the store phone in a last-ditch effort to get rescued. He's greeted by the founder's friendly voice.
You've reached Pizza Bros,
says the founder, whose cadence is interrupted by Ed's own rough voice saying,
Chesterwood.
Press 1 for delivery. Press 2 for carryout.
Continues the founder. Steve looks at his phone with confusion. The new automated phone system, Steve thinks. I'll try the carryout option. Steve presses 2 on his phone and the automated system continues.
What size pizza do you want? Press 1 for small. Press 2 for medium. Press 3 for a large.
Steve frowns and presses pound to get to an operator. There's got to be a way to talk to a person at the store. But unfortunately, the pound key does nothing and hangs the phone up on Steve instead. Frustrated, Steve sighs loudly. Something that he realizes he does a lot more lately than he used to. Guess I'll try again. Steve dials the store and is again greeted by the founder's friendly voice.
You've reached Pizza Bros,
says the founder, whose cowboy cadence is interrupted by Ed's own rough voice saying,
Chesterwood.
Press 1 for delivery. Press 2 for carryout. Continues
the founder. This time, Steve tries pressing 0, hoping that this key combination will get him to Ed. But instead, the founder says,
You've pressed 0. Goodbye.
More frustrated than before, Steve takes a deep breath. How can I outsmart the system? He asks aloud. Steve thinks and thinks till his thinker is all thunked out. And just when Steve is ready to give up, he has a moment of clarity. Eureka! He cries. Steve looks around for the nearest street sign and sees that he's on Albany Street. He looks behind him for the nearest house number and finds 44. Steve's plan to outsmart the system is to order a pizza for delivery and wait for Dennis to deliver it. Not only will Steve get a ride back to the store, but he'll also get a pizza all to himself. One he doesn't have to share with Dennis, which is a bonus. Once again, Steve picks up the phone and dials the store. He's greeted by the founder's friendly voice.
You've reached Pizza Bros,
says the founder, whose cadence is again interrupted by Ed's own rough voice saying,
Chesterwood.
Press 1 for delivery. Press 2 for carryout.
Continues the founder. This time, Steve presses 1.
Please speak your delivery address clearly into the phone.
The founder's voice asks politely. 44 Albany Street, Chesterwood, Steve says slowly and clearly.
What size pizza do you want? Press 1 for small. Press 2 for medium. Press 3 for a large.
The founder then asks. Steve pauses. If I don't have to share with Dennis, it would be most prudent not to be wasteful and get a small pizza, he thinks to himself. Steve decides that this is the best course of action and pursues it. But at the last second, instead of pressing 1, Steve presses 3 to get a large pizza. He realizes that if he doesn't have to share, he could take the leftovers home for dinner. This fills him with delight. The founder's voice continues.
What toppings would you like on your pizza? Here's your choices. Press 1 for cheese only.
Steve waits for the next option. Again, the founder's voice says,
Press 1 for cheese.
Steve makes a funny look and again waits for the next option. But instead, he's informed a third time.
Press 1 for cheese.
Maybe I just have to press 1 to indicate that I want cheese to go to the other toppings? Steve thinks. He then presses 1 on his phone. Finally, the founder's voice changes its tune and comes back with,
You've selected 1 large cheese-only pizza. Your estimated delivery time is 25 minutes. Have a nice day.
Ah, laments Steve. But I wanted mushrooms. He sulks for a moment, but then decides to look at the bright side of things. Well, at least Dennis will be here soon. The end. Hey guys, it's Steve, and I know things seemingly ended badly, but I was able to get my coolant pipe fixed, and it turned out that there was a bunch of rubber because my car is from like 1996 that needed to be replaced, and it's like a whole thing, right? But it turns out that rubber is really, 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 really cheap as opposed to alternators, which are really, 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 really expensive. And I was able to do it all myself. And the best part is that I didn't have to share a pizza with Dennis because Dennis always wants the most ridiculous toppings, right? Here's a Dennis pizza. Dennis pizzas are like pepperoni, banana peppers with barbecue sauce on the bottom, topped with 3 cheese blend. Like, who eats that? That's disgusting. Why would you eat this? Why can't you just eat regular pizza? Like pepperoni or sausage or mushrooms. Something normal, Dennis. Why? Why?
Because my way is always better.
Okay, Dennis, whatever you say.
Don't forget to visit therealpizzapros.com. See you next time.